Hey everyone, it's Deja from CrochetEverAfter.com. Today we're making our newest motif of the month. It's August 2014, and this is, I'm calling it a star flower because it reminds me of a star with its pointy edges, but it looks like a flower as well, so I gave it a yellow center with a red outside. I'm using worsted weight yarn and a USJ or 6mm hook, so grab those. Get your pattern from the link below and let's get started. Alright, so to begin our star flower, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. I want an open center for this flower. You can substitute a magic adjustable loop or magic adjustable ring if you want a completely closed hole, if you're familiar with that. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and chain 4, so we always yarn over from back to front. Then I like to grab my tail as I pull through to kind of keep everything from moving around. Yarn over again. We're going to do 4 total chains. So here's number 4, and then we're going to join our ring together to make we're going to make a ring. So we're going to go ahead and put our hook in that very first chain. You can put it wherever you want because it's going to get completely covered. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through that and pull through the loop on your hook. So now we have our ring. Doesn't look like a ring right now, but once we start crocheting into it, it's going to open up. So my very first round 1 instructions is to chain 3, and this is going to count as a double crochet. If you've seen my other tutorials, you can do a tall chain and a double crochet. So if you know what that is, otherwise you can search tall chain to learn about that. But we're going to do 11 double crochets inside this ring. So with our chain 3, that's going to give us a total of 12 double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over back to front, insert my hook in the center. If it's difficult for you to see the center, just grab your chains and pull them apart, and you'll see that hole a little bit easier. So you're going to push through the center hole, lay over your yarn, pull it up, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the second 2. And we're going to do that 12 or 10 more times, 12 altogether. Go through, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Oops, missed one. Here's my 12th double crochet, technically 11th. And now I'm going to join my ring with a slip stitch in the top of my chain 3, so those very first chains you made. So just insert into the very last chain, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. And I just like to tighten it down. I'm going to go ahead and fasten this off because I want to change colors for my next round. So I'm just doing a long tail that I pull tight, and then I cut my tail. And then pull that back out. So I've got my first round done. Now we're going to move on to round 2 with our new color. So to join this in, you have a couple of options. If you've seen my standing stitch tutorials before where you just start working your very first stitch, you can do that, but I'm also going to just show you how to do a slip stitch join. So you can go ahead and put a slip knot on your hook, and then we're going to join in. You can join anywhere because it doesn't matter for this part of the instruction, so I'm just going to go right to the left of my tail because I always like to, and I'm going to put it under both loops from front to back. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the loop on my hook. So now I've joined in my new color. I'm just going to tighten that down, and that's a slip stitch join. And now I can start my round 2 instructions. So round 2 says to chain 4, and that's going to count as a treble crochet. So again, you can do the tall chain and a treble if you want to do that instead. But a treble crochet, instead of 1 yarn over, we're doing 2 yarn overs. And then we still work off 2 loops at a time. So yarn over twice. We're doing some increasing, so you're going to go back into that stitch that we just joined our yarn with. Go right back in, yarn over, pull up your loop, and then work off 2 loops at a time. So yarn over back to front, pull through the first 2. Notice I always push to my shaft to keep my stitches even. Pull through the next 2, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. So now we've got technically 2 trebles because we're counting that chain 4 as our first one. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 2 trebles in our next stitch. So this is going to be kind of our pattern repeat. After we do this here, we're going to start our repeat. So we do 2 in here. Then we're going to chain 3, and we're actually going to start right after this. So we have chain 3. This is going to create a space. Then our pattern repeat, which is brackets, which tells you repeat what's in the brackets over and over again as many times as it tells you to do, and it tells us to do it 7 times. So we're going to do our 2 trebles in our next stitch. We're not skipping any stitches on here. We're working every stitch that we have. So we did 2 trebles in that first stitch. And then 2 trebles into the next stitch. And then we're going to chain 3 again. So we're going to do that 6 more times around, and you'll see how it kind of gives us this group of 4 trebles in between our chain 3. Okay, we got my last stitch. I just wanted to show you how to work into one of the stitches that you fastened off, because you get like a lot of different loops. You have your fasten off, which is that little chain, and then you have the loop that you slip stitched and where you slip stitched into. What you can do is just kind of pull on it, and you can see that hole. Just work into that hole and it'll cover everything up. So we're going to do our last 2 trebles right through that hole. You can just push your tail out of the way. You can weave it in later. And then we're going to join up our round, and we only have 1 round to go. Oops, sorry, we need to chain 3 first. Chain 3, because we need 3 chains in between all these groups of 4, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch at the top of our chain 4. So if you're counting, sometimes that very first chain can be a little small, so make sure you don't miss it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or you can look at where that first treble is made. Here's the stitch sitting on top. Go right to the right and find that very first V. That's how you can find the top of your chains. So we're going to slip stitch, and then we're going to move on to round 3. Round 3 tells us to single crochet 2 times in our, single crochet in our next 2 stitches. It says skip the stitch where the slip stitch was made. So that is this treble here. That's right where the chain 4 that we slip stitched into. We want to do single crochets in these 2 center trebles. So we're just going to go right into it and start single crocheting. So we're going to do 1, then go to the next stitch and do 2. And then it says skip our next stitch, which is this treble, and now we're going to be working into our chain 3 space. So what we're doing here is 3 double crochets. So we'll do 3 first. So we yarn over once for our double crochets. Then we're going to do a picot. So a picot makes a little pointy top. And it's very simple. We chain 3, so we yarn over, pull through, make them nice and tight so that they don't look real floppy. So the same size as your shaft. So I have all 3. Then you go back to the first chain you made, put your hook in, and do a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. Then we're going to do 3 more double crochets in that chain space. So again, yarn over, go back in, pull through, got 2, and 3. So now you can see the picot made like a little point to our flower, star flower. So these little picots are very handy when you want to make pointy kind of points. So then it says skip our next stitch, and we're going to single crochet in those 2 center stitches again. So that's our pattern going around. Each of these 2 centered trebles, we're going to single crochet into them, and then we're just going to work in our chain 3 space. So we're going to do this all the way around, making those picots right after our 3 double crochets. So I'll show you that one more time. And just chain, 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 insert back into that first, pull through, and picot. Then we're going to double crochet again. So all the way around, and then we're going to join up at the end. On my last 3 double crochets, and since we began with those single crochets, all we have to do after these 3 is join our round. So we're going to join with a slip stitch in that first single crochet we made. So you can see them sitting right there. Just go right under both loops of your stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through your loop, and we're all set. So I'm going to fasten off. So again, I do my little chain. That's how I like to fasten off. Cut that off. Pull my tail out. Not too many ends to weave in. We've just got 4 all together. So I'm going to go ahead and weave those in, and then we'll check out the final project. We got all the ends weaved in. If you're making this for like an applique, or you're going to put this on a scarf or a beanie or whatever, make sure that you can leave those tails unwoven and then use those to sew it to your project. This would be a really cute applique. You can make it in a fingering weight or a sock weight, so it'll be even smaller and more compact. This is with a J hook, so it's nice and floppy, but if you wanted it more stiff, use like an H hook with your worsted weight. So the bigger the hook, the floppier it will be. So if you're making this to connect in the ends like a scarf or a shawl, the J hook is good because you'll get a nice drape to it. But if you're going to use it for an applique, then I would change to like an H hook, so it's nice and tight and flat, so when you put it on it's not going to look lumpy or anything. But that is it. If you have any questions, leave them below, and thank you for watching.